My parents excluded me from their weddings, calling me a reminder of their mistakes, until my grandparents made them regret it. Hello, Reddit talkative here. You ever have a moment where you realize your entire life was a lie? That's exactly what happened to me the summer I turned 19. Both my parents got remarried, within the same damn month, and not only did they not invite me, they specifically excluded me. And when I asked why, thinking maybe it was some weird mix-up, they didn't even try to sugarcoat it. You remind us of our past mistakes, not each other, not their ugly divorce, Mr. their child. I was apparently the physical embodiment of everything they regretted about their marriage. I was stunned. And to make it worse, my mom married some rich banker guy she'd only been seeing for 6 months, and my dad married this woman who was barely 10 years older than me, practically a glorified Instagram influencer. Neither of them even wanted me at their weddings, because I didn't fit the new, perfect pictures they were trying to create. I was just a ghost from a life they were trying to forget. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just left. I moved in with my grandparents, my mom's parents, who'd always been my safe place. When I told them what happened, my grandma didn't even say a word. She just stood up, walked into the kitchen, and I swear I heard her muttering curses under her breath while beating dough like it owed her money. That's when my grandparents hatched a plan. See, my parents forgot one important thing. My grandparents were the ones who paid for a huge chunk of their first weddings, their houses, and even the fancy schools. They both pretended to pay for themselves. My grandparents were old money, the kind that keeps family loyalty above everything. And if there's one thing they couldn't stand, it was betrayal, especially to their own grandchild. My grandma and grandpa went full petty mode. They made a list of every financial favor they'd ever done for my parents and sent them both invoices, demanding repayment for every cent. And it wasn't just money. They wanted back every piece of furniture, heirloom, and even the wedding china that had been gifted to them over the years. They also contacted the new spouses, letting them know exactly what kind of people they'd married. Mom's new husband? Furious. He hadn't known my mom had basically cut off her only child. Dad's influencer wife? Horrified. Her whole brand was built on being a family values queen. But my grandparents weren't done. They hosted this massive anniversary party, a 50th wedding celebration, and invited everyone. I mean, everyone. Family, friends, neighbors, even some old high school classmates of my parents. The only people who weren't invited? My parents. At the party, my grandparents gave a speech. And let me tell you, it was legendary. My grandpa stood up, clinked his glass, and said, "We are so proud of our granddaughter, who's had to raise herself despite having 2 living parents. We couldn't be prouder to have her by our side." The crowd murmured, some people whispering, asking what had happened. My grandma just smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, they disowned her. So we disowned them. Family is about love, not image." The whole party clapped. And that was the moment my parents' shiny new reputations started to crack. My mom's husband actually filed for divorce 3 months later, realizing she'd lied about having a close family. His parents were big on family unity, and they weren't about to accept someone who cut off their own kid. My dad's influencer wife? She started getting backlash online when the story leaked, and her sponsors dropped her faster than you can say cancel culture. And my parents? They suddenly wanted to talk. Suddenly they were calling, texting, trying to get me to understand their perspective. They blamed stress, each other, even me, for how things turned out. But I didn't respond. The final blow came at Christmas that year. My grandparents rewrote their will. Every penny, every property, every heirloom, everything that was supposed to go to my parents would now go to me. My parents were officially cut off. When they found out, they showed up at my grandparents' house, screaming, crying, begging. My mom accused my grandparents of ruining her life. My dad called me a manipulative brat. That's when my grandma stepped in again, calm as ever, and said, "No, you ruined your own lives. You had a child who would have loved you forever, and you threw her away for Instagram pictures and country club invitations. Actions have consequences. They left that night with nothing, not even their dignity.